everyone and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and today we are going to talk about everything you need to know about Prince Harry and his appearance at the London High Court where he was not needed. That and more of all the bizarre things that our favorite victim royals have been up to ahead of the King's coronation. By the way, I just finished my episode 6 recap for Harry and Meghan, the Netflix soap opera, so if you want a good laugh as well as the entire recap without sitting through the snooze fest of a show, I made a playlist on my channel so you can binge the series. Anyway, let's talk about these two clowns. On March 27th, Prince Harry flew across the pond to attend a court case he wasn't required to attend. He unexpectedly appeared at London's High Court for a hearing in his lawsuit against Associated Newspapers Limited. This is funny if you watched my episode 6 recap where I talked about how the episode ends with Harry and Meghan upset that Jason Knopf submitted a witness statement that they claim was voluntary and they blame Prince William for putting him up to it. Meghan is literally so upset in the episode that Jason ends up providing evidence which makes her out to be a liar, and they even end the episode and the whole series with a disclaimer about Jason Knopf. Once again, it's funny how it's bad when someone else does something, but it's okay when Harry and Meghan do it. Jason claims that he was asked to give a statement either way, so I'm taking his word considering his credibility hasn't been questioned. Anyway, let's talk about Harry's appearance at the High Court. First of all, he entered through the front when he could have very well entered from the side door or a private entrance if he wanted to, but nope, here we have him strutting in front of the paparazzi and even being all nice to the media that he claims to hate. As he's saying and looking at all the paparazzi there to photograph him, he bumps straight into this photographer, as you can see. Harry basically bumped into him because he turns his head away from the crowd and bam, he's in this guy's face who's also taking pictures of him. Harry's security then proceeds to push the photographer out of the way. I saw that when this clip first came out, everyone was like, oh great, they're gonna use this out of context for whatever project they have next, as they usually do. So let's take bets if they're actually going to claim that poor Harry was swarmed with the paparazzi as they did on Netflix, as if paparazzi in front of the court is not a normal thing, but okay. Richard Eden from the Daily Mail tweets, I'm confused. Britain is so dangerous for multimillionaire Prince Harry that he needs hard-pressed taxpayers to fund police protection for him. Yet the eco-campaigner has just made a round trip of more than 10,000 miles for a court hearing he was not required to attend? These are the hard-hitting questions no one is asking him. Who is suing and why? Harry, amongst other prominent figures including Elton John, Elizabeth Hurley, Parliament member Dorian Lawrence, and more, are suing Associated Newspapers, who is the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, for illegal information gathering. The 4-day hearing will consider legal arguments from both sides and conclude with the judge's ruling on whether or not the case should go to trial. Associated Newspapers are arguing that the case should be thrown out, but if it goes through, the trial would happen in May. When the case was first announced in October 2022, Prince Harry's lawyers claimed that he was among several individuals who had become aware of compelling and highly distressing evidence that they have been the victims of abhorrent criminal activity and gross breaches of privacy by Associated Newspapers. The claimants alleged in their lawsuit that unlawful practices included the placement of listening devices in their cars and homes by private investigators, recording of private telephone calls, and the payment of police with corrupt links to private investigators for sensitive information, impersonation to obtain medical information from hospitals and care facilities, and illicit manipulation to assessing bank accounts, credit histories, and other financial transactions.
What the hell are you talking about?
That is a huge claim. Associated Newspapers deny the allegations, calling them preposterous smears, the BBC reported. Whiny hypocrites. Harry's fight with the media has been quite boring, to be honest. No one wants to see a privileged prince fight the media, especially when other people who got the short end of the stick haven't been crying as much as he has been, let alone contradicting himself the way he is, which I'll get to. It's insane that he and Meghan argue how much they love privacy, but they do such highly publicized things that people are obviously going to talk about. To the point where when the highly publicized thing brings them stress, they blame it, despite the fact that they should be blaming the fact they pursued it. This is in reference to Harry blaming Meghan's miscarriage on the Mail, as we discussed in my episode 6 recap, exposing their lies. One person that I feel hasn't gotten enough recognition for how they dealt with the media backlash is Princess Kate Middleton, because at 23 years old, she was followed and verbally harassed by the media for years. Her phone was hacked 155 times, more than any other royal. Her mother was hacked, her family was mocked, and not once did Catherine complain publicly. She dealt with it in a private manner, and I think it's very telling to compare how she and William deal with things versus Harry and Meghan. One couple takes the more mature and private route, while another does things in the most publicized way ever. There were also a lot of weird lies he says in court, which I doubt is going to hold up considering this is a court of law and not some random Netflix set. Lies in court. He says, "The institution made it clear that we did not need to know anything about phone hacking, and it was made clear to me that the royal family did not sit in the witness box because that could open up a can of worms."
Oh, really?
Is he saying that his own family hacked his phones, or what exactly does he mean by the statement? And why is he, out of all the other popular royals aside from Catherine, who has proof of her statements, suddenly the only one being targeted by the family? Why not William, or Charles, or Camilla, who was more publicly hated than any of them? Also, it seems like the institution was doing their job of not bothering a prince with tedious work of the media. So it comes off to me that he's complaining that the staff didn't knock on his door every hour, telling him a bedtime story of every Google alert he's been in. It continues. "The institution was without a doubt withholding information from me for a long time about phone hacking, and that has only become clear in recent years as I have pursued my own claim with different legal advice and representation."
Really?
Again, is he claiming that the institution, aka his family, who else is it going to be, was hacking his phone and sending it to the media or something? I have a hard time seeing anyone believe this, especially if there is no proof. This is a court of law, and it says a lot that this has suddenly only come to his attention later on with the whispers of Meghan Markle. Now this part is important. The claimants allege that they were told that the investigator Gavin Burrows had admitted to hacking phones, tapping landlines, and bugging cars. The allegations were set out in a statement he provided to their lawyers 18 months ago. According to the documents submitted by his lawyers, Prince Harry said that he embarked on the case after being told Mr. Burrows had admitted to targeting me. Whoa. Okay, so he has a case if he has an admission, right? No. According to written submissions, they state that Mr. Burrows has provided a signed witness statement denying that he was commissioned or instructed by Associated to carry out any unlawful activity. The Mail's publisher said, "We categorically deny the very serious claims made in this litigation and will vigorously defend them if that proves necessary." If Harry embarked on this whole case on the sole basis that Mr. Burrows was targeting him and he will admit to that, what is going to happen if this admission does not exist, considering Mr. Burrows is denying them? Harry also contradicts himself when he says that he was only aware of a small percentage of articles in which he had appeared because the institution had a strict no-comment policy, which meant that even the worst or most suspicious articles were often never brought to my attention.
That is not true at all.
This is just a lie, because in Spare, he mentions several specific articles that were brought to his attention by the palace, including one where he was accused of doing cocaine, which he had the palace kill. He was aggravated about the story despite it being true. He literally says, even the worst or most suspicious articles were often never brought to my attention. Yet he completely writes a different whole story in Spare. And on Netflix and his book, he paints a picture of a family obsessed with their news coverage, who hardly do anything but read and react to the tabloids, and how they eat their breakfast with the newspapers of that week rolled out. In Spare, he writes how a staff member brought it to his attention that a newspaper editor claimed to have a photo of Harry doing cocaine, to which Harry denies it. He's like, "Call the editor's bluff." And he basically gaslights everyone, only to admit that he actually had been doing cocaine a lot, literally on that same page.
He's got to be an idiot to put those on
social media.
So not only had the palace brought a story to his attention before it hit the press, they also killed the truthful story, but now he wants to claim they didn't comment on anything? Obviously, the palace wasn't going to be commenting on every mundane story like a commoner who has nothing else to do with their time. But the fact that he pretends as if the palace didn't kill stories that would have shown his true colors is hilarious. Not to mention that I've had several videos talking about the number of articles that the palace actually came out to deny, issuing official statements about the most mundane things, only to please Harry and Meghan. How he's so comfortable lying in public like this needs to be studied. Also, are we supposed to believe that he had no access to the internet or newspapers? Clearly he did, considering the second he started dating Meghan, he had the palace issuing statements left and right, not even 2 weeks after the news of them dating hit the press. More bizarre things. Something that Harry also does is somehow relate back every single problem in his life to his poor mother, Princess Diana, whom he won't let rest. After the damage he said and done on Netflix, he's still using his mother some more in his world of lies. In his witness statement, he wrote, "Following the death of my mother in 1997,
when I was 12 years old and the treatment at the hands of the press, I've always had an uneasy relationship with the press."
I literally have this memorized, because that's how many times he said it. He also said that dating Meghan Markle made him increasingly troubled by the approach of not taking action against the press in the wake of vicious, persistent attacks on, harassment of, and intrusive, sometimes racist articles concerning Meghan. Ah, of course, there it was. That's what we were all waiting for. Meghan's script. We all know she wrote it. She probably signed his witness statement. Again, I've talked so much about their lies about the media and how these racist articles were actually written by American journalists, which kind of disputes the whole the UK is the only problem thing. Not to mention that the media treatment she got was like any other celebrity who just debuted onto the scene because of whom they're dating. This is not the first time that the media has dug into a celebrity's life, and this is not the first time Meghan basically begged to be written about. There is so much proof of this and so many stories out by people that Meghan contacted and her publicist also contacted, basically begging to get her written about in the tabloids. We have to remember, she was a D-list actress, no one was writing about her even if you paid them. And half of the biased articles they are talking about, which they brought up on Netflix, oftentimes they were just clickbaity titles that ended up praising Meghan for breaking royal norms and modernizing the royal family and yada yada yada. They just want to complain about everything, and it's the same annoying story broadcasted on a different platform every time. One time on Spotify, then on Netflix, then in a book, then on Oprah, then on other interviews, and now in a court of law. He gets even more bizarre when he says, "I am bringing this claim because I love my country, and I remain deeply concerned by the unchecked power, influence, and criminality of Associated. The evidence I have seen shows that Associated's journalists are criminals with journalistic powers."
What?
So now journalists are criminals? People who just go to work trying to do their job and try to make ends meet? Look, I don't doubt that Harry had a hard time with the press back in the 90s or whatever, but the climate of the press treatment has vastly changed, and him and Meghan's lies about the press needs to be studied. I'm not really going to go into it because I spent 6 videos talking about all the lies and out of context things they've said about the media in my Netflix episode recap, so definitely go check those out. Also, I think he's literally insane for pretending to love his country by him suing the free press. He knows damn well he can't try it in the US, considering freedom of speech, which he calls
bonkers.
And the free press is something very real that widow Meghan and Harry can't moan about. That's why he's picking on the UK. It's okay for Harry and Meghan to leak information to the press, such as their address, but it's not okay for the press to talk about their shenanigans. Okay. He also says that if the most influential newspaper company can successfully evade justice, then in my opinion, the whole country is doomed.
Well, good luck with that.
So now we need the great Prince Harry to come save the UK? And the UK is doomed because the media isn't, what, bending to Harry and Meghan's PR scheme that People magazine is used to? The entire case just makes Harry look triggered and paranoid by taking out his own issues on other people, because he even says that he lost friends over his paranoia with the media. He says that suspicion and paranoia was caused by Associated's publication of unlawful articles. Friends were lost or cut off as a result, and everyone became a suspect. since apparently he was misled by the way the articles were written, into believing that those close to him were the source of the information being provided to Associated's newspapers. Are we sure that it wasn't the drugs that caused this suspicion and paranoia? After all, it was Harry who writes about all the drugs he was taking in Spare. I can sit here and talk about every line he wrote in his witness statement, but I'll save us the horror. Moving on. This was Harry's first time back in the UK since he and Meghan had attended Queen Elizabeth's funeral. And now comes the drama of King Charles and Prince William avoiding Harry, as the US press likes to twist it. People magazine writes, he informed both King Charles and Prince William that he would be in the UK for the proceedings, but it's unlikely that Harry will see his father or brother during the trip. Many people believe that Harry timed this surprise visit to coincide with the King and Queen's first state visit to France. However, the trip got cancelled last minute because of the violent riots in the country. So many fans are saying that Harry deliberately arranged this to overshadow this important event ahead of the coronation. Speaking of the coronation, Harry and Meghan still haven't accepted the invite yet. You know them, they like to play the dramatic media games of, let me see if I'm free, despite the fact that they have all the time in the world. They're basically unemployed. What do you guys think about the timing of Harry's visit? I find it hard to believe that he let William and Charles know anything, considering I don't think they are on speaking terms after all of Meghan and Harry's shenanigans over the past 4 months.
Do you speak to William now? Do you text?
Currently, no.
Do you speak to your dad?
We haven't spoken for quite a while. No, not recently.
William and Catherine are also not at their Windsor home as they are spending time with their children who are off from school. So as per usual, this doesn't revolve around Harry and his ego, and his family attend to their own things. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you want me to keep covering the court case if it progresses, and give me your thoughts in the comment section. Like and subscribe for more, follow us on our social media, and as always, I'll see you next time.